Wait a minute. Did the shark just jump the tank? Mark Cuban talking politics with me on FBN? Take a look.
I think it's great. I mean, I was, an anybody but Cruz guy. I like Donald. I think it just shows how tribal the United States has become. I don't even think we're partisan anymore. I think we're tribal. And Donald has got that whole what about me tribe running behind him, and he's excited them to come out and vote for him, and it's going to make for an interesting election.
Everyone seems to be saying, at least on the left, Mark, that he is going to be dead meat, that he's going to get annihilated. Even Republicans are saying they fear not only will he go down to a blazing defeat, the Senate will go down as well. That big. What do you say?
No, not at all. I think he's got a shot. Now, I'm not here to handicap it and say it's a sure thing by a long shot, but I think what's happened is, for a while people got turned on to the Tea Party, and they were asking, okay, what about me? What can you do for me? And the Tea Party stood up, the conservatives stood up, and they said, we think we can take care of you. That fell apart. And so Donald recognized early on that, look, it's not about issues at all. A lot of people could care less. All they care about is, what are you going to do for me? And Donald addressed immigration. He addressed, trade. He addressed all these things. No substance whatsoever. But he said to people who were concerned about themselves, I can fix it. I can fix it.
But is that good enough, Mark? I mean, eventually you have to spell out your plan, right?
No, I don't think you do.
Okay, that's interesting.
This is going to be Donald Trump is going to run the Seinfeld campaign. It's going to be the campaign about nothing.
And you're okay with that?
It is what it is. It's not a question of whether or not I'm okay with it.
Will you support it?
I don't know who I'm going to vote for yet at this point in time. I want to see it play out. There's no reason to make a decision now.
Well,
there's things I like about
you have been very frank in the beginning. I mean, you had your tussles with Trump, and
Sure.
When's the last time you talked to him?
Probably about 3 weeks ago.
Really? And
yeah.
Do you mind what were you talking about?
Yeah, we just various things. Donald's a sports fan, and he'll, when the Mavs have a big win or whatever. Actually, it was 2 weeks ago. Okay. When the Mavs have a big win or something, he'll call and congratulate me, and we'll talk about some things. And I tell him I don't support a lot of his policies, but I like the way he's energized people, and I really think he tapped into the fact that this is not about issues anymore. There are people out there that want to know, what are you going to do for them? They don't trust government, and if they already know the government is not going to do what they need to help them get jobs or help protect them, then let's turn to somebody who may not get into any detail whatsoever, but at least it sounds like he's going to try to answer the what about me question. And now, like I said, it's going to be a Seinfeld campaign, the campaign about nothing, because the more Donald talks about issues, the more it plays right into the hands of Hillary, and the more the eyes of his what about me tribe glazes over. They don't pay attention to it. And I think he picked up on that early on, and that was brilliant by him.
You're a Maverick in your own, no pun intended, with your team, but you have to get deals done, right? You have to keep moving. I can't believe I'm saying all these cliches, the ball forward. Now, the rap against Donald Trump is successful businessman, but they're going to throw that back in his face, saying, wait a minute, you're not that successful. First of all, we don't buy how rich you are. Secondly, we're not quite sure, given your bankruptcy filings, that everything you say is what you say. Now, he's weathered that within the Republican primaries and taken out 16 of the most incredible set of candidates we've ever seen. Is that a big deal?
No.
Is he going to have to address that?
No. The American dream is not about how many times you fail. You don't even know how many times I failed, Neil. Every great entrepreneur has failed. Thomas Edison talks about all the 50,000 times he's failed led to the times he succeeded. We accept entrepreneurial failure because it just shows he got back up and ended up, getting it done and being successful. Now, you can argue on the margin how much, but it doesn't really matter.
No, I agree with that. I think it's safe to say the guy's rich.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that. But, Mark, are you surprised, as a fairly wealthy guy in your own right, that Donald Trump has tapped a nerve with what Democrats have disparagingly called flannel flyover country, with the common man, with the coal miners, with regular workers? Explain that.
Okay, like I was saying earlier, we are in a what about me time. If you look at Bernie Sanders, the what about me are the millennials sticking together. You know, they were very tribal. You know, I'll keep on going back to that word as well.
Right.
The millennials didn't care about Bernie Sanders. They cared about the fact that all the other millennials supported him, and they were part of the crew, and they could identify. It's like supporting a basketball team. You know, Mavericks fans hate fans of so-and-so. I mean, just look at Twitter to see how tribal and how you know, how bad it is out there. So when what Donald realized early on, I think he looked at how the Republicans treated Hillary. She's a criminal. She's a liar. You know, whatever you want to call her, every name in the book. So that said, you know, it wasn't about issues. I can call anybody anything and not deal with issues as long as I can get people excited. And that's exactly what he did. He got people who were saying, you know what, I'm tired of government as usual. I'm tired of politicians as, you know, business as usual. I've trusted them. I've voted for them. And it makes no difference. They did nothing for me. I'm struggling for a job. I haven't really had wage increases. They're not that middle America is not going to look at Donald Trump and say, wow, what about his policies any more than I care what type of play the Dallas Cowboys run, or if, you know, what the play we ran to get Dirk a shot. We just want to know, did we win or lose, and will we win or lose? And so middle America like that is saying, you know what, I'd rather trust him because everything that's happened with traditional politics, traditional government, has been a failure when it comes to what is in it for me. And so let's go with Donald. And as far as opposing Hillary, it's going to come down to who turns out the vote. If he can continue to say, look, I am going to make your life better. I'm going to stop trade. I am going to, you know, build the wall. I'm going to impact immigration so people don't take your jobs. Then if he can get the people out, he's got a real chance. And none of that has to do anything at all with actual issues.
But would he have to
information.
change his demeanor? I mean, you always hear he curses at people. He's trying to get the people he beat to join him now. But it's hard if you called a guy Little Marco or Lion Ted Cruz or all this stuff. And he has to get them back. Now, he's been very presidential.
No, it doesn't matter. No,
it doesn't matter. What do? After you vanquish someone, you conquer someone and take their business and bring it to the next level or outcompete them? I mean, how do you either bring them into the fold or calm frayed nerves?
You just do. Look, Donald and I have had our battles. You know, people talk about Donald being sexist. There's nothing he said about a woman that he hasn't said to me. You know, he's called me ugly. He's called me short off the tee. He's called me all these ridiculous things, right?
Right.
And that's just how he combats it. And I think what a lot of people fail to realize is, look at every condemnation of Hillary Clinton to date, right? It's, you know, she's lying, she's a criminal. It's all about name calling.
So do you think the debates will be reduced to that?
I think it depends on Hillary's strategy. If Hillary tries to force him into policy issues, then it won't work, right? He'll go
another way.
He'll go another way, right? He's got to have the Seinfeld campaign, the campaign about nothing.
That's interesting. What about the environment? I mean, does it make a difference with the economy, Mark? I mean, there are a lot of people, you're close to this and I'll ever be, who say the economy could be hiccuping, we could be looking at a global slowdown. How would Donald Trump handle that? I would imagine, given his business credentials, he might say, I'm the guy to deal with a bubble bursting or an economy and a recovery.
He's just going to blame Obama. Whatever it is, it's Obama's fault, right? He will not touch. My guess is he will not touch on any details whatsoever because there's no upside for him. Because there's so much. They've done such a great job on the right, you know, just putting down Hillary so that it's anybody but Hillary. I mean, look, Cruz was anybody but Hillary. I can beat Hillary. Kasich, I can beat Hillary.
Cruz. Why not?
Because, you know, he was dogmatic. He was full of crap on his programs. You know, I'll give you one perfect example in detail. So he wanted to change to a value-added tax, but more importantly, he wanted to eliminate the IRS day one. Right? That was one of his pillars. That's 90,000 people. That would be the largest layoff in the history of the world on day one. Yet on the flip side, he says we're going to go out and because we're cutting taxes, every graduate is going to have not 2, not 3, 4, or 5 job offers. It was just as crazy as. So
you were not a big fan of his. Do you think it's important as a guy like you pay attention to who a candidate picks as his or her running mate?
Yeah, it depends if there's balance. right? And
so
it
for Donald
depends.
Trump to Mark Cuban, who would that balance be?
For me, he should. I would tell him to pick a politician. You know, that Paul Ryan's not going to do it. You know, Sean Boehner would be great, but I don't know enough of the details, and I don't know enough about the intricacies.
I assume you would not
DC.
like to see Ted Cruz.
No, and I know Donald wouldn't either. I mean, you know, I don't think.
So if
Donald
you had
really,
your choice now, Mark, between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, where would you go?
I don't know yet. That's
Really?
the honest answer. Yeah, I really don't know yet. I think there's things that are positive about Donald. I think there's things that are positive about Hillary, and the same with the negative side.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of basketball to be played yet, and it's going to be really interesting how Hillary responds to Donald. You know, if Hillary stays Hillary, I think it really hurts her and really helps Donald. If Hillary can really, you know, make it tough on Donald to just do the Seinfeld campaign, and then I think she's got a better chance.
A campaign about nothing. Think about that. It's been a weird year, right?